Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and stay tuned by clicking the bell icon. Heartstopper Season 2 didn't need to include Ben. Ben's story is completely unsatisfying and unnecessary. Netflix's Heartstopper, based on the graphic novels of the same name by Alice Oseman, and adapted to screen by the author as well, follows Nick, Kit Connor, and Charlie, Joe Locke, and the rest of their friends, Elle, Yasmin Finney, Tao, William Gao, Isaac, Toby Donovan, Tara, Corinna Brown, and Darcy, Kizzy Edgell, as they blossom into fully realized young adults. As members of the LGBTQ+ community with varying identities, they provide one another with support and love as they deal with the realities of who they are and what it means moving forward. That, too, comes with certain hardships, as we see with people constantly invalidating Nick's bisexuality or the horrors that Darcy experiences at home with her homophobic parents in Heartstopper Season 2. And while we love the series and the messages it relays, there's one aspect that we wish was different. While the series explores the beautiful love story between Nick and Charlie, it begins with Charlie in another relationship with closeted student Ben Hope, Sebastian Croft. Their secret relationship is quickly ended by Charlie, who realizes how toxic the situation is and what a terrible person Ben is. As Charlie ends things with Ben, he forces himself on Charlie and begins to kiss him, something that should be considered, and the series later classifies as sexual assault. Nick intervenes, thankfully, but Ben is an antagonist for Charlie throughout the first season as he is desperate to stay in the closet and rude to Charlie, and he feigns repulsion at any slight implication of being connected to Charlie in any way. That said, his presence is very much not needed after the pilot episode, as there's nothing else of substance to come from Ben being around to further torment Charlie without facing any real repercussions for his actions. Unfortunately, though, the series decided to keep him around in Heartstopper Season 2 as well. The inclusion of Ben in Heartstopper Season 2 is a departure from the graphic novels, where he does disappear, and we're wishing that were the case for the show too. Throughout the season, Ben watches Nick and Charlie advance their relationship, rueful over how he lost Charlie. Plus, he's bitter that Charlie is with Nick at all instead of him, as Ben sees no difference between himself and Nick, because this new romance is being kept a secret as well. Though we know it's because Nick is working on coming out, while Ben never planned to come out. There's a heavy rivalry between Nick and Ben in the early episodes, especially as Ben begins to date and use Nick's friend Imogen, Rhea Norwood. And then they are sat next to one another for their weeks of GCSE exams preparation, where Ben constantly tries to provoke Nick and gets them both into trouble. But throughout it all, including the trip to Paris, Ben watches Nick and Charlie enviously, constantly bringing down the mood, proving himself a terrible human being, and putting Imogen through hell as he doesn't care about her whatsoever. In the penultimate episode of Heartstopper Season 2, Ben follows Charlie to Elle's art exhibition at the Lambert School, ambushing him and Nick on their way out. He makes a grand declaration that he's sorry, but perfectly in character, places the blame on everyone else for what he's done, like the fact that his parents will never accept his coming out. This falls flat for a couple of reasons. First, this moment comes out of nowhere. Nothing in Ben's story builds up to this, as he has practically no development whatsoever from the pilot episode to this. He's the same selfish, miserable person he always was. Second, while it's nice to see Charlie tell Ben off for how he so completely and severely mistreated him during their relationship, Charlie doesn't gain anything from the interaction. It doesn't make him feel better. It's just more trauma that the series, given its rather lighthearted tone, isn't properly prepared to address moving forward. At the end of the day, the only benefit to this is that Ben tells Charlie he's transferring to another school for the next term, and Charlie won't have to see him again. Hopefully, this is the first time he's been honest. Yes, it's great to see Nick stand up for Charlie and prove how much he understands Charlie, including how much the relationship with Ben hurt him. However, not enough so that Nick and Ben needed to have so many scenes together. The story with Imogen is also difficult to reconcile with, slightly shifting our opinions of Nick. He did try to warn Imogen away from Ben, but not very hard. Considering Nick is aware of how Ben sexually assaulted Charlie, it feels like he should have done more. But this brings the story into a morally murky gray area. Is it wrong to out Ben while trying to protect Imogen? In a way, it feels like the only reason Nick didn't is that there was the threat of Ben outing Nick too. In short, the entire situation was difficult to watch, and nothing involving Ben came to any satisfactory end. Ben's entire presence in Heartstopper Season 2 feels meaningless and unnecessary. We didn't need to deal with the complexities in the situation between Nick and Ben whatsoever. We didn't need to watch Charlie be further traumatized by a void that already so brutally shifted his perspective of himself and what it means to be in a relationship. In the end, Ben gets away scot-free for all the damage he has caused, leaving us to ponder what the point was. He doesn't face the music about who he is or what he's done, and has no development whatsoever to predict what kind of person he could become after learning from this experience. Simply put, Ben's continued presence dragged down and tainted an otherwise enjoyable and well-written season. If you liked the video, don't forget to like, comment, and share.